Well, hello. This is R.C. Blakes, and I'm not by myself today. You've been asking for her, and I finally caught up with her and got her to sit down and to do one of these sessions with me. Of course, this is for Valentine's Day 2018, and this is going to be our first Valentine's in a long time actually being together.
Physically together.
Yeah, usually I'm somewhere else and my son takes her out, but thank God this time we'll be together. Well, I wanted us to have a conversation tonight, just a conversation, relative to why do some men fail to commit, and what should a woman do? What should a woman's response be to a man that fails to commit? You know, that's a question that we get a lot in the email.
Right.
You know, because people hear my testimony, our testimony about how, I told you I wasn't ready to get married, and you just kind of moved on with things until I figured it out. And a lot of women can't relate to, where did that come from? So I thought it'd be a good thing tonight for us to have this discussion along those lines.
Sure. Many women are asking us, what do I do if this guy doesn't want me or doesn't want to commit to me?
Yeah.
So this is a great time for us to discuss that in this Valentine's season where many are feeling so lonely or alone during this time.
And have a tendency to just kind of lower their expectations and accept things that they shouldn't accept. Well,
right.
let's look first of all at why is it that some men don't commit, and these are just some things that we kind of jotted down. Number one, and I want you to kind of elaborate on these as I go through them. I believe that some men don't commit because there are no consequences for procrastination.
That's right. They feel like they can just keep putting things off, and then that woman, we just are going to wait.
Yeah.
We're going to be there whenever they call.
And there are no consequences.
No consequences.
For, a man just delaying the obvious, Here a woman has been with you for years, a woman has even had children for you.
Right.
And she doesn't even have an engagement ring and you still stringing her along. The reason he's doing that is because she's not brought him to a place where there are consequences for procrastination.
That's right. And there's not even a promise. It's just constantly the same story over and over again. And she accepts that story.
Yeah. And so men respond to, I like the way Steve Harvey puts it. He says that men respond to consequences. There have to be consequences for a man to really step up to the plate and to respond. I was talking to just the other day, our son yesterday. In fact, our son signed to go to Millsaps to play football.
Right.
And his little league coach was there. And we were talking about, well, you and I actually were talking about, well, he and I were actually talking about one of his biggest little league games where this team had beat them 3 years in a row.
Right.
And this was his final season in little league before he would enter into, school, organized school ball. And his coach said to him, I don't know if you're better than this guy. He keeps beating you every year. Are you gonna let this guy outplay you?
Right.
You're gonna go home with another L, 4 L's in a row. And that was his best game,
best game.
Because his coach made him realize that there are some consequences for not stepping up.
That's right.
And so a lot of women that are sitting there and looking and listening to you right now are in this mode where they're kind of stuck And they've not realized that they've not created consequences for a man that is kind of just, wasting their lives and wasting their best years.
Exactly, and just constantly responding to their every call. And I think that at some point there has to be a stance that a woman takes.
Absolutely.
That says, no, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm better than this.
Yes.
And you're not just going to keep on putting me through this year after year. And as a woman what you desire. You desire to get married. You desire to live
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
In the eyes of God. But you're allowing your emotions, really.
Yeah, your emotions.
Your emotions to control the behavior that you should be having, really, towards this man.
The second thing that I jotted down, Lee, why don't some men commit? No consequences for procrastination. Number 2 is there are too many premature benefits.
Too many.
When you begin to give a man husband privileges, and you're not even engaged to this man, too many premature benefits. My grandmothers would have said, why buy the
cow if you get the milk for free?
If you get the milk for free,
Absolutely.
Too many premature benefits.
That's
and
right.
and there are a lot of sisters that are watching this right now who are just, and the way I teach it is that a woman should really measure how much she gives.
That's right.
You should really measure how much you give. You don't give a man everything before he makes covenant or makes a real commitment to you. And then, after you've given him everything, now you expect him to step up to the plate and to seal the deal.
That's right. And it's amazing how much a woman will give and don't expect anything in return, or they expect it but don't receive it but continue to give.
Continue to give, because women are just naturally
givers. That's right.
And if nobody sits her down and says to her, you need to slow your roll, and there are certain boundaries for boyfriends. There's certain boundaries for engaged couples. And there's certain boundaries for married people.
Right.
Really, you take the lid off once you really break covenant. But you shouldn't be giving a man that's just a boyfriend.
Right.
Husband privileges.
And then the man, you're allowing the man to demand these things from you. And
Demand it.
And you're not obligated to do it. They want to try you out.
Yeah.
They want to see if you can cook. They want to see if you can keep a house clean. They want to see how you are in bed. No. Those are for...
That's for marriage.
That's right.
Premature. So there are too many premature benefits. You can't give it all away. You got, this man has to seal the deal. Number 3, the third thing I wrote, Lee, is that no established time limits on the relationship. In other words, what I mean by that is, a woman should have a block amount of time that she's going to date a guy, and if it doesn't go to the next level,
That's it.
shut that down.
That's right. Don't give your whole life away.
Don't give your whole life away. You don't need a 10-year engagement. Why would you let a man tie you up for 10 years on a promise?
Exactly.
And that's all an engagement is. There's nothing legal about it. It's a promise. And but when there are no established time limits on the relationship, how long are we going to date before we're engaged? How long are we going to be engaged? If you just keep letting a man determine that he's going to string you along, and you don't establish the parameters.
Right. Year after year, the same thing. We get so many emails like that. Women that have been with men 10, 11, 19 years, and now you're falling apart and having these emotional breakdowns, depressed, and want to lock yourself in a closet, wondering why? Why? Because that man has left you. Why? Or that man will not marry you because you have not set those time limits.
That's right. Now, this also speaks to the fact that a woman has to measure herself emotionally in terms of how much she really will invest herself into a man.
Right,
you know what I mean? I think it's wise for any woman to hold herself into a certain place emotionally until she knows where this thing is going.
And you're simply just talking about giving her heart completely
That's
to a man.
exactly right. You know, you don't put yourself in a position where a man can break your heart,
Right.
and you really don't know what you're dealing with. You don't give all of that away. We're not just talking about sex,
That's right.
but you don't give all of your heart away. And when you don't give all of your heart away, now you're in a position where you can say, you know, here's what it is. You know, I'm not going to be dating a man for 5 and 6 years. I'm 30 years old. I'm gonna date you till I'm 40.
Right.
And then you're gonna engage me, and then we're gonna be engaged for another 5 years.
Right.
No, we're not
No.
doing that.
No.
When there are no clear time limits set on the various shifts in the relationship, a man will just play it out as long as he, well, I call him a man, but you know what I mean. He'll play it out as long as he can play it out, you know.
You talk about that in the father-daughter talk book.
Yeah.
The games men play.
Games men play, the monkey bars, where he
Yeah.
just keeps on, you know, just stringing you along. Like, he letting go one day and holding on, and, you know, it's just, you know, merry-go-round. Just constantly going around,
Unfaithful.
you know, and just, and there's no real structure to where we are or where we're going. And see, I think it's a woman's responsibility even to let a man know what the limits are.
Exactly.
You know, the woman is supposed to control, really the woman is supposed to control the relationship prior to marriage.
Absolutely, I
She's
agree.
supposed to
I agree.
determine, you know, this is what I'm gonna stand for, this is what I'm not gonna stand for, this is how far we're going. We're not going any further than that, or this. These are the time, you know, this is the time you have allotted to make certain decisions and to step up as a
And be
man.
firm about it. And be firm about it.
And be firm
And
about
like you said, protect your heart. The Bible says guard your heart.
it. Guard your heart.
Guard your heart. And it's important that we do that because that is where the
Issues of life come from.
issues of life, but that's where the brokenness happens.
That's
and that's
right.
where everything starts to break down, is because we give our hearts completely to somebody that doesn't deserve it.
That's right. The Bible also says that he that has no rule over his own spirit is like a city with the walls broken down. You know, there's no defense system.
Right.
And, you know, I can afford to give you my whole heart. You can afford to give me your whole heart because we're in covenant and we're proven. But, you know, if either of us were to be single today or tomorrow, you know,
Difficult.
it's going to be very difficult,
difficult.
if not impossible, for me to just give my heart to somebody
Absolutely.
that I don't know.
And you know how hard it is for me to trust. So it would be impossible for me to give my heart.
Yeah, I ain't mad about it. Praise the Lord. Number 4, why don't some men commit? Number 4, and it kind of bleeds out of the first 3. He believes you won't leave. He believes that you won't. Like when I told you, what were you going to say? Finish.
He believes you won't leave because many times you say, I'm never leaving you. You say that. You
Yeah.
actually say that out of your mouth. So they take full advantage of what you have said.
That's right. You know, when I told you that I didn't want to be married, and I told you to move on, you moved on. Well, I didn't really believe that you were going to go. You know, I really didn't believe that I didn't believe that you were going to just go like you did.
And I did, but and I understand too where some of these women that are dealing with that kind of situation are, because it's not an easy thing to do.
When you love a man.
When you are really in love with someone, it's very difficult, but you have to love yourself.
There you go. That's what I was getting ready to ask you.
You have to love yourself even more than you love that other person, because it really becomes an embarrassment to you if you're just trying to hold on to something
It's trying to run away from you.
that's trying to run away from you. And that's really what I didn't want. It's not that I didn't want to be with him or want to hold on or beg and cry and keep calling and texting and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to do all of that. But I loved me, and I didn't want to be suffering that kind of embarrassment.
And then you had to establish, you know, for me to have the gall of having dated you for X amount of years and to have the gall to say to you, I'm not getting married.
Right.
You had to establish a certain dimension of respect.
That's right.
because it was really, when I look back on it, it was really disrespectful for me to even say something like that. And when you did walk away and you proved to me that I can love you and leave you at the same time, it really built within me another dimension of respect for you. And, but most men that, you just can't get them to commit, they really don't believe that you'll leave. They think that you're just going to sit there and you'll be there, until Jesus comes back. And they believe that because, as you put it, you've said that you would never leave, and you prove that you're addicted to this particular individual, and you prove that you love this individual more than you love yourself. You have to love you. At some point, you got to love you.
And then I think a man looks for that too, because the truth is that if you can't love yourself, how can you love somebody else, truly love somebody else, right? And so when they see you just denying yourself in that form, I guess I'm trying to find the right word, but putting yourself in that position where you just
disrespecting yourself,
right?
Yeah.
And waiting for this person to just bounce you around and in and out like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
A man doesn't I don't think a man finds that very attractive. And then you being the type of man that you were when we were dating and you told me to move it along, you were accustomed to having these women you can call and you can diss them at any moment, and they call them back and they'd come running. But when you realized, I think she was really gone.
That's true. Well, and my mama said to me after that, she said, "Boy, you made a fool out of yourself. You need a wife. That girl's your wife." My mama said that to me. And when my mama said that to me, then I went and I really started thinking about it, and God really was able to speak to me. And God said, that's your wife, that's your wife. But you had to leave me for me to really see you.
That's good.
You had to leave me for me to see you. If you had, I venture to say, if you had come back and when I told you I didn't want to get married, move on, if you had come back and done all of that stuff, begging and all of that, we might not be married today.
Absolutely, I believe that.
We might not be married today.
And here's the truth, though. Can I just be transparent?
Yeah, be transparent.
It's not that I didn't want to. It's not that I didn't want to blow up your phone every day and text you every day, drive by your house, stalk you. I wanted to do all that.
Really?
I really did. I wonder who you were with and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to do all of that. I sure did. And I know women that are watching me, they go through the same thing, and you have an issue in just letting go because you just invested so much into that relationship. And I know how difficult it is, but you have to, at some point, just say no. And you have to force yourself and really just take a hold of your emotions and really stop yourself from doing that. Because like he just said, if I had have been that person to constantly call, constantly text, and I think it was pagers then, right?
Yeah, pagers.
Yeah, we were paging.
I don't think it was texting then.
Yeah, it was
calling and paging.
Paging, the beepers going off. If we were doing that, and if he saw me passing by his house and all of that kind of thing, we wouldn't be together today, because he would think really I'm a crazy woman. How about that?
Well, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Let me leave that alone. Number 5, he was clearly not mature enough to commit anyway.
Right.
And quite honestly, that's why you have to that's why you need to establish time limits, because you need to be able to determine sooner than later if you're just dealing with a little boy.
Exactly.
Or if you're dealing with a man. And there's no sense in you thinking you're going to take a little boy and turn him into a man. If his mama didn't make him a man, if God didn't make him a man, what makes you think you as a woman is going to be able to make him a man?
Cannot.
He's not mature enough to commit anyway.
That's
and
right.
the best thing you can do is pick your little heart up.
That's right.
All of your little mistakes, ask God to forgive you, forgive yourself for it, and move on.
Move on.
Now let's move to the next part of this, what to do. We talked about why don't some men commit, but now let's talk a little bit about what should a woman do. And I kind of pull this from, some of this from our experiences. And number 1 says, until a man has married you, always make your own schedule, never march to the beat of a boyfriend.
That's right.
You know, in other words, don't put yourself as a single woman in a position where you have a man that's not your husband dictating your life and your world as if he were.
Right. You're laying in wait, waiting for him to tell you the next move, when you should go, when you should not go, what you should do, what you should not do.
Yeah. Some days, as a single woman that's not married, you have to have something else to do.
That's right.
You know, there's some days he calls, you know, you've been dating this man, y'all been dating for 2 or 3 years. Well, now it's about time for you to start having something else. You're not supposed to be available all of the time.
24/7.
This is not your husband. And you know what I mean? So you never march to the beat of a boyfriend. That's reserved for husbands.
Right.
A woman follows her husband like
That's
that.
right. That's
But
right.
you're not supposed to let a man that's not your husband dictate the rhythm of your life.
And you still making your own decisions about your life at that point when you are not married. You're making your decisions over your own life. You're not allowing that man to make those decisions of when you come, go, what you do.
Yeah.
And, all of that.
If I can just constantly dictate your life, I have
I have the control.
I have control. So what should a woman do when a man won't commit? Make certain that you do not allow a man that is not your husband to dictate your life's rhythm, pace, or direction.
And the truth is right now, in these times especially, and even in our times, men want a woman that has a life.
Absolutely.
He doesn't want a woman that he just sitting around really waiting. He might think, or he might give you
Not a king.
give you the thought that he wants you.
The impression.
Yeah, the impression. There's the word. The impression that he wants you at his beck and call. But he really wants to see a woman that's independent, a woman that's busy, taking care of herself.
That's right.
And moving in some kind of purpose.
Yeah, that a king.
A king,
A king. When you start talking about queens and kings, a king is looking for a woman that has her own agenda,
Right.
and is not just sitting around waiting for a man or waiting for him to just give her every dictate. And you should certainly not put yourself in a position where you're just, subservient or just completely surrendered or totally submitted to a man that's not committed to you.
That's correct.
Never march to the beat of a boyfriend. Go ahead.
When we were dating, I was in nursing school. And
Busy a lot.
And when you told me to go on, at that point, I could have fallen apart, and I could have, quit school and just rolled up in a ball like a lot of people do. But I was determined. It was rough because my heart was broken. It was rough, but I was determined to finish school and move into my career.
Absolutely. Number 2, this is a conversation we're having. What should a woman do when a man won't commit? Number 1, till a man is married, you always make your own schedule. Never march to the beat of a boyfriend. Number 2, challenge the areas of your self-esteem that keeps you waiting for someone who isn't showing up.
Wow.
You have to personally challenge the areas of the emptiness of your self-esteem bank that keeps you waiting for someone that never shows up.
Simply meaning that thing that you think that nobody else will want you because of. So I might be a little bit heavier.
Wow, that's good.
I might be a little heavy. Nobody else is gonna want me. I gotta stick around with him because he's the only one that's gonna want me. He knows me. He knows I weigh this much. All that kind of thing.
Challenge the areas of your self-esteem that keeps you waiting for someone who isn't showing up. She just mentioned, weight. That I think that's a struggle with a lot of women. You believe that because your weight is too much or too little, or you're this or you're that, you're not educated, you're not this, you're not that, that nobody wants you. You got to learn to love yourself and understand that you are perfect just as God has made you. And it's your responsibility. If you've not had a father, a biological father, to pour into your self-esteem and to build you up, if you've not had mentors or, whomever to pour into your self-esteem, now it's your responsibility to esteem yourself. You have to you have to stand in front of the mirror, and you have to build yourself up. You have to talk to yourself, and you have to build your own self-esteem.
Right.
Because in most cases, people do not have anyone else that will do it for you. And you're certainly not going to just continuously submit yourself to a man that is constantly draining, even from the emptiness you already experienced.
Absolutely.
So number 2, you must challenge the areas of your self-esteem that keeps you waiting for someone who isn't showing up. Why are you waiting? What keeps you waiting? I think that's a question that you have to ask yourself. What keeps me waiting for this man and he never shows up? It's been 5, it's been 10, it's been 15, it's been 20 years, and he's still not,
committing.
Still not committed. He's still not. I've done everything as a woman. I've done, sometimes this is vice versa. In some rare cases, it's the man that's trying to get the woman to commit, so it's not just one way.
Right,
but most
right.
cases it's the woman trying to
Absolutely.
get the man. But why is it? What makes you continue to wait for someone who constantly breaks your heart and proves to you they are not going to show up for you? You have to stop. Really, you need to let this man go so you can step
Start over.
back from this situation and really do some self-analysis and figure yourself out.
Exactly. I agree.
You don't really need to go into another relationship with this broken self-esteem. Now, number 3, begin to spend less time with this man, and don't begin to spend less time with him, and don't be readily available. As you see that this man, we kind of hit on this, but as you see that this man is not really committing, now you have to begin to pull back.
Back up.
You've
That's
probably
right.
gone too far already.
That's right.
So now you have to begin to pull back, and you got to begin to spend less time. Going back to what we just said a few minutes ago. Now you got to find something else to do.
Find something.
Now you got to be busy.
And even if you're not busy, be busy until you get busy. You don't have to grab the phone every time he calls. You don't have to answer.
This is not your husband.
You don't have to answer the phone. And you don't have to have an explanation as to why you don't answer the phone. You were busy.
Yeah.
You might have been sitting there watching TV.
Yeah, I'm going out with my girlfriends, or I'm going to hang out with my family. I'm going with my mom. But don't just keep yourself in a position where you're always available for a man that is not committed to you.
And then one thing we have to understand as women is that men are hunters. And so they
Wow, that's
love the idea of, what is she doing?
Catching.
Yeah. Let me go and, pursuing, the pursuit. Allow them to pursue us, because we're just there at their beck and call. They have nothing to
Yeah.
They can't satisfy that hunter in them.
That's exactly right. And let me add this as well, before we move on to our final 2 points. The stuff that we're talking about right now is really not stuff to psychologically manipulate this man into stepping up to the plate. What it's really about is putting you in a position where you really regather yourself, because you've lost yourself.
Right.
You've gotten caught up and you've lost yourself. The things we're talking about are the things that are necessary for you to gather yourself and to be able to properly discern and analyze this situation.
Exactly.
And what the value of this situation really is, if this is even a relationship worth trying to move forward with. When you begin to back and you begin to build your own self-esteem, you're going to see things a lot clearer. Like I just said, when you left, I saw things clearer. And, when a woman separates from a man and she begins to allow that space to develop between the two of them, when he's failed to step up to the plate, she begins to see things clearer as well.
Absolutely. You just never know. And it's really right now, if you've been going around this mountain, if you've been waiting for this same person to commit to you, at this point it's about self-preservation.
Absolutely.
Preserving what's left of you and really waiting for the right person, because that if it's been 16, 17 years, probably not.
Oh God, 16, 17 years?
Probably not gonna marry you. Just telling you that.
Number 4, watch this. Number 4 is be honest with him when he asks you why you're acting differently. Be honest with him.
Mm-hmm.
And by that I mean you tell him what, man, I've been sitting here waiting on you and
Right.
thinking that we had something significant and serious,
A future.
and I've just made up my mind that you're not, I'm not what you want.
Right.
And you're not ready to go where I'm trying to go, so I'm just moving in a different direction.
That's all.
You have to be completely honest with him, nicely, not
Arrogant.
not arrogant or with mischief intended,
Right.
but just nice. Man,
Yeah.
I'm giving you the space to do you and to do it, be you, and do whatever it is you want to do, because I can see clearly
You're not sure.
after X amount of years, you're not certain that I'm what you want.
Exactly.
And if you don't know that I'm what you want by now, you're never gonna know.
Right.
So I'm just kind of moving forward with my life,
Reevaluating some things.
reevaluating, which brings me to the final point, which is number 5: redefine the relationship. And this was gonna trip him out. Redefine the relationship from exclusive to friendship. You got a man that has not committed to you, and you begin to make all of these moves, and then he come and ask you, well, what's going on? Why are you acting so different? Redefine the relationship from exclusive to friendship.
Right.
Let's just be friends. Let's just be friends. Because we're going. The Bible says in Amos 3:3, can two walk together except they be agreed? And we're not in agreement. Clearly, we're not in agreement. So, we don't need to be unequally yoked. I'm not what you're looking for. I thought that you were what I was looking for, but clearly you're not a man that's ready to make a commitment to me, at least not to me.
Right.
So let's just be friends. At that point, homeboy is going to really have a lot to think about.
Yeah.
And you're going to discover that you've regained your power. Now it sounds scary. It sounds, really, really scary, the things we're talking about. But at this point, you have to regain your power. You've lost your power. When you're a woman that's behaving like a wife to a man that's made no commitment to you at all, you've lost your power. Yeah. And what you've developed really is a soul tie, and a soul tie will consume your entire life until you make a decision to you got to cut that thing. You got to cut that thing. You can't even untie it because a soul tie is in knots. It's like a tennis shoe that you've just knotted up. You pulling on that thing, all germs in your mouth, never trying to get those knots out of those strings. At some point, you just got to cut those strings out and start afresh.
Absolutely.
And so this is what we're talking about, because it is not God's best for you to be locked into a situation unless you just don't want to be married. Unless you're one of these and everybody doesn't have to be married.
That's right.
Everybody doesn't want to be married.
That's right.
Everybody doesn't have to. If you just don't want to be married and you're content with y'all's friendship or whatever level your relationship you all have, hopefully it's at a status that it pleases God, that it's within the constructs of God's will. If you're happy with that, God bless you. But if you're a woman that wants to be married, wants to have children, and you're dealing with a man that's just consuming years and years and years of your life,
cut it.
You got to cut that.
Cut it.
You got to cut that. You got to cut that. And I'll say the same thing to brothers, because as I said, I've run across men who wanted to be married and they're dealing with women that don't want to be married. I wouldn't sit around there and waste my time with a woman that doesn't want to be a wife. And I wouldn't try to force her into trying to be a wife. She don't want to be a wife.
Not.
Let's just be friends.
Move on.
Let me go find me a wife, because I need a wife.
Exactly.
I don't need a girlfriend. I need a wife. You understand? So I thought this would be great today, just to deal with something relative to relationships. You all have been asking for Lisa. She was so nervous to come on here. Y'all saw she kept staring at me. She was so scared to look at the camera. Lord have mercy.
I'm not a camera person.
And I'm trying to get her to do more relationship stuff with me. I think if you all blow the email up and tell her how much you enjoyed her being on, I think you might be able to get her to do more of this. I think having the female perspective is valuable to our discussions. And so anything you want to say, Lee, before we shut it down?
I think just as we leave, I just want to encourage those ladies that we may be speaking to tonight. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made, or how you think someone else might feel about you as far as how you look or your educational status
Or your age.
your age, how many children you may have had out of wedlock. It doesn't matter about any of that. God has somebody just for you, and he has the right person just for you. And if that person that you've wasted your time with has not committed by now, cut it.
Cut it. Well, that's the final word. Cut it. We love you. We thank God for you. You can reach out to us at Pastor rscblakes@gmail.com. That's our email address. We share it. If you want to send something directly to Lisa, you can do it. I'd like for you to let her know how much you enjoyed her being on. And I want us to have more of these conversations and discussions, not so much teaching or preaching, but
Right.
just conversations about life and relationships. We're looking forward to doing more. We're really looking forward to ministering to married couples. You know, we have the Royals thing that we've started for married couples, and we're looking to take that even to new dimensions. So we love you. We thank God for you. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time tonight.
Have a great evening.
Have a great evening. God bless you. Talk to you soon.